You're listening to Murder Not Murdering with Erin,
And Autumn,
a true crime podcast about murder and murdering.
but we are not murderers. And we're back with Murder Not Murdering with Erin.
And Autumn. You don't have to do my name in the opening.
I had to get you back, even though I haven't been on the podcast for a couple weeks. The last one we were on, you didn't even let me say my name, so
All right.
I hold a
Well,
grudge.
The good news is we are back together in action.
Forever.
So,
No.
Autumn, you okay, yeah. So I did 2 episodes solo. It's really hard not to have someone to talk back with.
I know. You did really good, though. I really liked them. I listened to both, and I really enjoyed them.
What did you think about on the last one? I added some audio.
I liked it.
I think I might do that a little bit more if everybody see what people think. But it's kind of nice to
I
add
liked
it
it.
add it in. I think it adds a little something.
I agree. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It
Well,
made it even cooler.
it took me a little longer in editing, but I think it was worth it. So I'm going to try to do that a little bit more now.
I liked it.
We'll see. Give us some
Pop
feedback.
off, creative lady.
Let us know if you liked it or not on Instagram at Murder Not Murdering. And don't tell us shit on TikTok.
Yeah, don't tell us shit on TikTok.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, honestly, TikTok is just hard in general.
I don't understand it. I got to be honest.
don't
I really
either.
don't. I don't
I don't
get
get
it.
it either. What? Sometimes, I mean, we get a bunch of views. Other times we get 5. So I'm like, I don't know. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. I
So,
don't understand it.
I don't either. But we'll never be TikTok famous. We're just going to accept our fate.
Yeah, but we'll still keep posting on there. So do check our
Right.
TikTok, mnn.pod.
A little
Because-
secret. It'll be the same post on Instagram if you don't have TikTok for my fans that don't download TikTok.
But if you do have TikTok,
But
please
if you do have TikTok,
like it.
please like it because I don't know what else to do on that app. It's a hard one.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing. So
No, we really don't.
all we're trying to do is our best
Every day.
every day.
Do your best, forget the rest.
I don't know about that, but I
Oh,
definitely try to
okay.
do my best.
Just trying to have some motivation over here.
But you know what I'm really excited about?
Tell me.
That it's almost October.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's already officially fall.
It's officially fall, but it's almost October, which is the best month of them all. And I am planning some really creepy episodes. I've already started writing. That's how excited I am.
I'm only silent because I'm just trying to think of what creepy is to you because dismemberment is like high on your list.
Oh, no, that's just like ordinary easy peasy.
Okay.
We're talking creepy. I want ghost connections. I want witches. I want them all. So there's going to be all kinds of stuff coming for you.
Perfect.
Maybe some demonic stuff. Maybe something that has to do with possession or I don't know. I'm so
I was
excited.
just listening to one of my favorite podcasts, the Morbid podcast, and they did the haunting, like the real life haunting, the one with oh gosh, that Janice girl. Oh, what can I?
Kyle, you're sounding like
It's a
everyone's
really-
mom right now.
It's a really famous case. Just so everyone knows, I have a hard time right now. Like I have a lot going on, so like my brain isn't firing on all cylinders. So I can't recall and it was even The Conjuring was after this specific case, and it was a
Oh, okay.
haunting and a possession of a child, and they did a really good job of covering it, and I'm
That's
not doing it
awesome.
justice.
That's awesome.
But I
Also,
suggest that if you want some really creepy cases, and I know you like morbid, listen to them.
yeah, I was gonna tell everybody we've got some exciting news that's gonna be coming up this month because there is a true crime podcast that we used to
Oh,
listen
yes.
to. I mean, not that we don't listen anymore,
Yeah, we
but
still listen.
it was the one that kinda got pushed us into creating this podcast,
Yes.
and that is
My
My
favorite
Favorite Murder.
murder. We love them.
We love them, and so we're really excited because 'cause we're gonna see them live in Seattle, and then we can talk about it when we're meeting next, but that's exciting.
Yes.
That's also happening in October, so
Yes, it's gonna be
yay
so
for
fun.
us. It's gonna be so fun. I'm
I'm
really
looking
excited
forward
about
to
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So, for today's I almost said tonight's, although it's not, it's sunny out. And I don't know when you are listening, listener person,
Could be the
so
morning, could be a midnight mass.
we don't know.
We have no idea.
I had a friend that used to always tell me he listened in the shower. I'm like,
I listen to most of the podcasts I listen to in the shower.
so I was like, "Oh, good, when you're naked and afraid."
Yes. That's the best time when you have nothing to focus on but what the person's telling you, honestly.
I always listen in the car. I feel like when I'm
Yeah.
waiting for pickup or I'm
Well, I
doing
work from
running
home,
arounds.
so I'm
Yeah.
not in the car long enough for me to listen to a podcast episode.
Fair. I listen in the car mostly, and then sometimes, when I'm making my gourmet Jello shots for work, I will put my headphones on and I'll listen to a podcast throughout, which is
I listen to
fun.
podcasts when I go for walks too, but
Oh, that's good.
mostly I listen, in the shower. And just for all of my people out there, if you are walking and listening to something, you need to have special headphones where you can still hear the surroundings around you. You do not wear the kind that cover your ears. For one, you could get hit by a car. For two, someone can sneak up from behind you, and you just need to be able to hear what's going on around you.
Be careful, carry a, like, personal alarm or even a whistle, gotta be safe out there. So definitely
I'm not
do
walking
that.
at night, that's for sure, because I don't have a dog.
I also think, well, people also walk at nights. People have different hours and all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah,
I
but I
also
would
think
only feel safe walking with a dog at night.
if you have headphones on, whatever kind of headphones they are, you still need to be aware. And sometimes I'll just wear my headphones so people don't talk to me, but I wear them, with them not on. So you can also remember that that's a good tool to not have to have interaction with someone if you are worried about people, you
Also,
know.
Erin lives in a fantasy world because I put headphones on and people still talk to me, and I'm like, "I
Yeah,
don't wanna talk to you."
I have resting bitch face. People leave me alone.
They do not leave me alone. I
I
literally could
know.
be on the phone and they will sit there and still keep talking to me, and I'm like, "Listen, I am, like, not talking to you."
Yeah, people always insist on telling you their stories.
It is so weird. It's like, I'm not the one who cares. Like, it's
The
I
oversharing.
I am not the person that cares. You want my friend Erin. She will care and talk back. Why are you
I
talking to
will.
me?
Yeah.
And
Well,
I am not friendly.
you heard it here first, folks.
I am not friendly. Do not come up to me and talk
So,
to me.
it's really nice to have you back.
She missed me. Don't let her fool you.
And the good news is Autumn gets to go first this time because I have done too. And you guys have heard my voice quite a bit. So we're going to jump back in with Autumn telling us
Yes.
her case this week.
Mine's a very famous case. I had this case actually ready to go a couple weeks ago, and then as we all know, unfortunately, we had a death in the family, so I didn't get to tell this, but in the meantime, it was kind of like a blessing in disguise
Oh,
because I have a surprise at the very end with some updates that no one saw coming for over 34 years.
well, I love the sound of that. That also sounds like Autumn has a solved murder this time. But
Mm, you never
okay,
know.
I won't get my hopes up.
Never know. You never know. But I also would like to dedicate this one to my mother-in-law, who is one of our biggest fans, and I'm not
A
gonna get
murderful
emotional.
friend?
Yes, a murderful friend who is missing part of her heart, so
Take your time, it's okay.
I just want to say that I appreciate who she is and my heart is with her.
I think that's lovely.
Okay, Terry, so sit there and listen to this because this one's for you. It was a winter night in Austin, December 6th, 1991. A soft, ordinary place. Fluorescent lights, the hum of a freezer, the smell of sweet fruit and frozen cream. A small yogurt shop in a shopping center. Teenagers finishing a shift, folding chairs, a closing routine, and then a fire, and then a discovery that could not leave the city for a generation. 4 girls were killed that night, ages 13 to 17. Their names Amy Ayers, Eliza Thomas, and sisters Jennifer and Sarah Harbison. They had been bound and gagged, shot, and the building set alight in a violent attempt to destroy evidence. The scene shocked the city and the nation. And yes, this is the yogurt shop murders.
I'm so glad you're doing this one. I feel like everybody's been talking about the documentary.
Yes, they have. And I've been wanting to do it for a really long time, but oh my gosh, there's so much details in this.
So much
That took
information.
so long, and I was working on it between cases, and then I had it ready to go, and it was like a divine intervention because, as you
I
know,
saw I sent you the update on
Yep.
Instagram. I'm
So as you
I'm
know,
so excited.
it took everything in me to keep quiet when you sent that to me. I was like, "Oh, wow." But here we go.
Here we go.
The shop closed around 11 p.m. Witnesses later said a man used the bathroom in the back. A few minutes before midnight, a patrol officer noticed smoke. Fire crews arrived and, after the flames were controlled, found the girls' bodies. 3 were badly charred and had been shot execution style. 1, Amy, was found in a different part of the shop with severe burns and gunshot injuries. Investigators collected physical evidence that night: bullets, a casing found in a drain, and biological evidence from one of the victims. Those items would live in evidence lockers for years, waiting for technology to catch up to them. The immediate shock gave way to questions. Why those girls? Who could control 4 people so completely and then set them on fire? Their brutality suggested someone who knew how to commit violence and try to erase it, not a random teenage prank gone wrong. Detectives began interviewing, collecting, and trying to piece together a night that left almost no clear view of a motive. Over the months and years that followed, the case never stopped drawing attention. It drew suspects and it drew confessions. Dozens of people would later claim responsibility, including even a notorious serial killer who was briefly considered and then ruled out. In the end, the case became as famous for how many people said, "I did it," as for the fact that no one could be proven to have done it for a very long time. Investigators focused and refocused on different leads. In 1999, 8 years after the murders, 4 men were arrested in connection with the case: Maurice Pierce, Forrest Welborn, Michael Scott, and Robert Springsteen. These arrests came after renewed investigation and interrogations. The police alleged the group's involvement. Over time, charges against Welborn and Pierce were dropped. Springsteen and Scott were tried and convicted in separate trials in the early 2000s. But the trials relied heavily on confessions and testimony that many later questioned. This is important and painful to say out loud. Some of those confessions were later alleged to be coerced. Defense teams argued that intense interrogation tactics and misleading questioning produce false admissions. Over the years, those claims, combined with new forensic information, would overturn what once seemed like finality. Robert Springsteen was convicted and sentenced, a death sentence at one point, and Michael Scott was convicted and given a life sentence. The convictions were fiercely contested for years. Appeals, new hearings, and legal battles followed. As DNA science advanced, lawyers pushed for testing on evidence that had been preserved from the original scene. Those tests became crucial. By the late 2000s, testing that wasn't available in the 1990s revealed something painful and freeing. DNA from evidence did not match Springsteen or Scott. That scientific mismatch, together with legal rulings about how confessions were used at trial, eroded the state's case. In 2009, the prosecution moved to dismiss charges. Springsteen and Scott, men who had spent years in prison for a crime they had been tied to, were released on bond and then cleared of those charges. The case, once again, was unsolved. For the families, the release brought mixed feelings. Relief that people were freed, but renewed anguish that the person who actually did this to their daughters remained unknown. The city kept the memory, news articles, community vigils, and later documentaries would keep the case in public view. Cold cases sometimes sit untouched for years. Sometimes they are opened by a cold case detective with a hunch. Sometimes they are pushed back into life by laws, documentaries, or advances in technology. This case saw all of that: advocacy, renewed legal attention, and scientific advances, especially in DNA testing and genetic genealogy, slowly closed the distance between evidence in a locker and a real person. Documentary work, most notably a multi-part series released in 2025, shone a fresh light on the case. It brought new interviews, re-examined records, and renewed public interest. That attention sometimes produces new tips. Sometimes it produces pressure on laboratories and police departments to rerun old evidence through new machines. That's what happened here. In September 2025, police announced a major development. Investigators had identified a new suspect, a man now believed to be responsible for the murders. Using a range of modern DNA testing, the Austin Police Department said the breakthrough came after years of work and advanced analysis of evidence collected at the scene. That man has been named by investigators as Robert Eugene Brashers, a man who died in 1999 during a police standoff in Missouri. Police say DNA testing tied material from the yogurt shop, including a casing found in a drain and a partial DNA profile from a victim, to Brashers, or to his weapon. Because Brashers is deceased, there will not be a criminal trial. Instead, investigators continue to piece together how and why he came to be in Austin that night, and whether other evidence can definitively link him to the scene. Brashers has a documented history of violent crime in other states and was linked to other murders and assaults in the 1990s. That background helps investigators understand a pattern, but it's not the same as a courtroom finding specific to the yogurt shop. Austin police have said they will continue investigating and will share more details as they can. Families were notified, reactions mixed between sorrow, relief, and complex feelings about closures without a trial. So, where does the case stand really? Here's what's true as of this public announcement. Investigators identify Robert Eugene Brashers as the person now believed to be responsible based on advanced DNA testing and ballistics comparisons. Because he died in 1999, there will be no prosecution. The long arc of the case includes earlier arrests and convictions that were later overturned or dismissed. Two men, Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott, were released after DNA tests did not match them and after legal challenges to the way evidence had been used. That history shapes how people view the new announcement. Austin police say the investigation remains active as they confirm and contextualize what the DNA and ballistics show. More details and a timeline were promised in subsequent briefings. Families and community members will likely continue to expect transparency and answers. There are still questions. How did Brashers come to Austin that night? Were there others involved? Can investigators link every piece of physical evidence? The bullets, the casing, the biology linked to him beyond a reasonable doubt? Some of those questions may never be fully answered. Others may only be answered by continued detective work or newly discovered records. For the families, the identity of a suspect can be both a balm and a wound. There's relief that investigation efforts finally led somewhere. There's also the bitter reality that justice in court is not possible when the person is dead. There's a memory of those years when convictions were made and then undone. The lives interrupted by prison, the questions about interrogation practices, the human cost of mistakes. For the public, it forces the reflection on how we investigate violent crimes, how we use evidence, and how science can both correct and complicate the past. It also shows the long arc of forensic science. What sits in an evidence locker today might finally speak decades later. This story is messy and human and heavy. It's about four kids who had whole lives ahead of them. And it's about the people who loved them and spent the last 30-some years asking for answers. It's also about an investigation that never truly went to sleep. And now, with DNA science and Dodge detectives, we have a new chapter. An identity that may finally explain the night so many people have tried to understand. So that like honestly is so incredibly wild to me that we finally have an answer because this has been around for a very, very, very long time.
Well, and he
And
wasn't ever a suspect in any of the
no, he was not
earlier
even on
beginnings.
anyone's radar, like at
Not even
all.
at all, no. But he does have quite a history of essentially serial killing.
Yes,
So,
he is a suspected serial killer. And honestly, since he killed himself, it's kind of really awful that we won't get the justice that the families deserve. But
but there's also some solace in knowing that he's no longer
out
out
there,
there.
yep, that he was no longer out there creating more
Yeah,
heartache.
yeah.
My sources were Austin American Statesman archives on the yogurt shop murders, KVUE news coverage, Austin Police Department press conference in September 2025, and the yogurt shop murders documentary.
I just was so shocked when I saw the announcement. I was like, "Whoa, this is a big, long time coming."
Yes, and honestly, I didn't know if it would ever be solved because it had been
I also felt
so
that.
long. It's kinda like JonBenet Ramsey if you think about it, like, it's just been there for so long, so many conspiracy theories, so many ideas, and to be honest, I cut out a lot of those theories when I just was saying this because, I mean, there's so many
There's so
of
many, but
them.
also I think, like, we know that information, right? It's
Mhm.
nothing that you haven't seen in the documentary or other coverings of it. So the exciting thing about getting to this case right now was to find out the information that they have
Mhm.
DNA evidence that links a person that they believe actually committed the crime.
Yes, and that they kept that bullet casing from the drain of the yogurt shop, and that is linked to one of his known weapons, I mean, mind-blowing.
Sometimes you just never know what's going to matter,
Mhm, and
right?
to have the forethought back then when that wasn't really a thing to know that you could trace all these, like, genealogy, like,
Or that it
DNA
would be
situations.
or also that these things would be readily available, like to link them
Yeah.
across states and such,
States,
you know what I mean?
countries even, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's wild the advances we have done, and it's amazing to think that in the moment back then, they were still collecting things that they never knew would actually matter ever in life.
No.
They had that
No.
forethought to just be like, "Maybe one day this bullet casing might mean something to someone, and or maybe one day this DNA under the fingernails can be linked." You know what I mean? Just like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying they had DNA under the fingernails, that's just like a thought of
No.
what they're
No, it's an
it's just
example. Yeah.
yes, and
I
it's
mean
just wild to think about, and to think
yeah.
that those other people could have been in prison for life, the death sentence for a crime they had nothing to do
I
with.
mean, that was my last case, literally was,
Yeah.
where they were beating the, confession out of
Mhm.
someone, or they will scare people or use
Scare
tactics of
people, yeah.
keeping them up for a crazy amount of times, and so you're delirious, you're scared, you're
You'll
hungry.
agree to anything to just be out of that situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really that's really a sad byproduct of something that was already a sad situation.
Mhm.
Really unfortunate.
Exciting times with DNA and genealogy.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like, especially for my cases, which are significantly older, there's stuff from, the 50s and 60s where they were, we weren't having as much ballistics as we do now. They would be able to match a size of caliber to a weapon, but not actual ballistics to prove that it came
Mhm.
from a specific weapon. So
Right.
it's pretty exciting. Ironically, my case also has to do with forensics. So this is
Ooh,
interesting.
I'm excited.
Mine's a bit of a famous one, but it's a very old one, so it doesn't get done as often, and I thought, "Why the heck not?"
Bring it on.
So, I'm gonna be doing Madeline Smith, the Glasgow poisoning trial of 1857.
Honestly, I don't think I know this one.
Good. It's a doozy. Glasgow, 1857. In the quiet, cobbled streets of Bytheswood Square, behind the thick curtains of an elegant townhouse, a young woman wrote her heart out in desperate, passionate letters. She was the daughter of privilege, the embodiment of Victorian refinement. And the lover that she was writing to? He was not from such an illustrious background. Pierre Emile L'Anglais was known as Emile. He was a clerk, a man of modest means and lower birth, but with ambition burning in his chest. To her family, he was nobody. To her, he was once everything, until he wasn't. In March of that year, Emile was found writhing in agony, vomiting violently, his body convulsing, and he died before dawn. And when the police began to dig, they found something else: hundreds of love letters, enough to damn a young woman in Victorian society. The press called it a tragedy, a scandal, a chemical romance turned deadly. The law called it murder. This is the story of Madeline Hamilton Smith, the so called beautiful murderess of Bytheswood Square, and the trial that made toxicology the star of the courtroom. Madeline Hamilton Smith was born into comfort on March 29th, 1835. The daughter of an architect, her family lived at 7 Bytheswood Square, a prestigious address in her city. Her world was one of drawing rooms, piano practice, chaperone visits, and above all, appearances. In that world, a woman's reputation was her currency. One slip, one whisper of impropriety, and the entire facade would collapse. And
I
yet,
wouldn't do well in that world.
no, I wouldn't either, but we were born in modern times,
This
so.
is true.
And yet, in 1855, Madeline did the unthinkable. She began a secret romance with a man beneath her station. Emile worked as a clerk at Messrs and Huggins and Co., seed merchants. He was about 10 years older than Madeline, and unlike her, he came from working class. But he was handsome. He had charm and a certain intensity and a willingness to risk it all. They met in secret. At first, their encounters were innocent walks and conversations. But soon, it grew into something far more dangerous for a woman in Victorian Britain. Letters, hundreds of them, flew between them. Letters that would later be read aloud in court, scandalizing the nation. One such letter, written in Madeline's careful script, read, "Oh, Emile, I long for your kisses, your arms around me, your voice whispering in my ear. I am yours, body and soul. Think of me when you wake and when you sleep." To a Victorian audience, such lines were not just improper, they were damning. They suggested intimacy, premarital relations, and a loss of virtue. By 1856, Madeline's parents had chosen a different future for her. They found a wealthy suitor, a match that would solidify the Smiths' family standing. Emile, they believed, was not even worth consideration. So Madeline began to cool towards him. She knew they could never be together. She wrote letters trying to distance herself. She pleaded with him, saying, "You may be astonished at this sudden change, but for some time back you must have noticed a coolness in my notes. My love for you has ceased, and that's why I was cool. I did once love you truly, fondly, but for some time back I have lost much of that love. There is no other reason for my conduct. I think it but fair to let you know this. I might have gone on and become your wife, but I could not have loved you as I ought. I know you will never injure the character of one you so fondly loved. No, Emile. I know you have honor and are a gentleman. What has passed you will not mention. I know when I ask you that you will comply." But Emile did not comply. He threatened to reveal their relationship, to publish the letters, to destroy any chance she would have at respectable marriage. She wrote him again, but this time Emile had heard rumors of her engagement to William Minnock, and he demanded to know if they were true. She heatedly denied the report of her engagement and asked again for the return of her letters. Emile again refused, saying that he was planning instead to show them to her father if she didn't marry him. But in January 1857, she accepted William's proposal, and the wedding was set for June. She now disposed of every letter from Emile. And then Madeline wrote him 2 more pleading letters, begging him not to expose their past love and sexual encounters to anyone, which would bring great shame on her and possibly get her thrown out of her family house. Instead, she asked him to meet with her again, secretly. It was in this context, this tense back and forth of passion and blackmail, that Madeline walked into a Glasgow chemist shop and purchased arsenic. She told the chemist it was for cosmetic use, to whiten her complexion. She told another that it was for her garden. And remember, in Victorian Britain, arsenic was a strange but common part of daily life. It was used in makeup, in wallpaper, as an aphrodisiac,
It
and
was
even
used in makeup?
all the famously, yes,
My gosh,
and
that's
even in
terrifying.
rat poison. So why not put it on your skin?
Oh my yep.
They would use it to whiten their faces, and what it actually did was leave a sheen on their face a little bit, kind of like a
Okay.
highlighter, but with arsenic.
Makes sense.
But maybe this wasn't vanity that led her here. No, this was preparation, or maybe desperation. By 1857, what had begun as a romance had curdled into something darker. Emile possessed her words, her confessions of passion, her admission of intimacy, letters that, if revealed, would ruin her. In February, Madeline purchased arsenic from a chemist. She signed her name in the poison register, as everyone had to do back then, but she wrote her real name, Madeline Smith, Bytheswood Square. The newspaper seized on this. The young lady of fashion, whose skin already shone with the health of her station, sought to purchase the whitest of complexions, not knowing that death lay in the powder she had just acquired. The Scotsman, June 1857. Emile had suffered violent illnesses for weeks before his death, often after seeing Madeline and drinking hot chocolate or coffee that she made for him. A friend testified, he said to me, "I believe Madeline is trying to poison me. I feel so ill after I take coffee with her." So, he met with her again.
Mhm.
On March 22nd, he returned home pale, trembling, vomiting violently. By morning, he was dead. At the autopsy, doctors Stephen and Penny conducted the postmortem. Their findings were an inflamed stomach lining, severe congestion of the bowels, and no natural cause could explain these symptoms. Samples were sent to chemists for analysis. The Marsh test and the Reinsch test were applied. The Marsh test is a sample mixed with sulfuric acid and zinc that would produce arsenine gas. When ignited, it left a metallic mirror of arsenic. The Reinsch test boiled a sample with hydrochloric acid and copper, which would coat the copper with arsenic, confirming on heating. Dr. Penny testified, "I can state beyond any doubt that arsenic was administered to the deceased in a considerable quantity shortly before death. The science was clear, but could it prove Madeline's guilt?" March 22nd, 1857, Glasgow's streets were gray and rainy. Inside Franklin Place, Emile convulsed in his bed. Landlady Mrs. Jenkins testified he was seizing with dreadful wrenching. His body shook, his face pale as death, and he cried, "I am dying! I am dying!" Doctors were suspicious, but the chemical tests confirmed arsenic. Police traced the affair, uncovering hundreds of love letters in Madeline's handwriting, passionate, intimate, and compromising. So on March 31st, Madeline was formally charged with murder. Her family had secured the finest defense, but the accusation alone ignited a national obsession. On June 30th, 1857, the High Court opened. The gallery was packed. Society ladies, journalists, and curiosity seekers clamored for a seat. The prosecution's case had motive, to marry of her social standing and silence a threatening lover, means arsenic purchased under her name, and opportunity was the time she spent with Emile just before his illness. Love letters were read aloud. "I long for your kisses, your dear embraces. Oh, Emile, don't doubt that I am yours, body and soul." They would often refer to each other in their letters as if they were already married, as husband and wife. Forensic experts explained the Marsh and Reinsch tests. Dr. Penny testified confidently about arsenic detected in Emile's stomach. The defense argued contamination, accidental ingestion, and questioned the timing of the doses. And furthermore, they argued that the arsenic would have to be boiled for 30 minutes for it to be dissolved, or it would have been gritty and noticed by Emile. It would have burned the hot chocolate if she had tried to boil that for 30 minutes, so that didn't quite add up. Arsenic back then would have come into a kind of heavy powder, but not a fine powder. So, like I said,
Mm.
he would have felt like crunchy in there.
Ew,
And
okay.
and they actually have the original bottle of arsenic that she purchased at the
No
Glasgow
way.
Museum. Yes,
Okay, that's really cool.
I watched video of it. Just
That's
saying.
awesome.
Um, Character witnesses said that Emile was conceited and looking to move up in life by marrying up. Apparently, Madeline wasn't the first, but definitely the last in a long line of women, and he was reportedly terrible at taking no for an answer. Blackmailing and threatening suicide were his gaslighting tools. When he died, he had 40 times the amount of arsenic needed to kill a man. There are theories that he may have taken his own life, but again, there were no pharmacy records that he had ever purchased arsenic. Madeline never denied the affair or buying arsenic on 3 occasions. Madeline sat composed, described by the London Times, saying, She bore herself with a calmness most extraordinary, as though she were a spectator at her own trial. Her beauty seemed only heightened by the somberness of the hour. After 9 days of testimony, the jury deliberated. On July 9th, 1857, the jury returned. On the charge of administering arsenic, February 19th, not guilty. On the charge of administering arsenic, March 22nd, not proven. The not proven verdict means essentially they think she did it, but they can't fully prove that she had committed the murder. Reactions were explosive. The Edinburgh Evening Courant said a murmur, like the rising of a storm, passed through the crowd of the court. Some cheered, others hissed. The London Times said, "Justice half done is a justice denied. To acquit while casting a shadow of guilt is to brand the prisoner with a mark indelible." Madeline was free, but her reputation was destroyed, so she had to leave Scotland. She eventually moved to London, changed her name, remarried, and died in New York in 1928.
Oh.
The trial highlighted the power and the limits of early forensic science. Toxicology became a central tool in courts worldwide. Victorian society reinforced the image of women as silent, domestic, and potentially deadly when it came to poison. Madeline's trial cemented the stereotype of the female poisoner. Her story entered folklore, plays, and penny dreadfuls. Historians debate, did she kill Emile or did he take the poison himself? One thing is for certain, the trial changed the public perception of forensic chemistry and demonstrated the influence of motive and social status. And so Madeline Smith's name endures, not as a murderer, nor as an innocent woman, but as something in between, a figure of scandal, a test of science, a mirror of Victorian fears, not guilty, not innocent, simply not proven. My sources were Wikipedia, Murderpedia, the Glasgow Library Archives, BBC Scotland, and the documentary Love, Lies, and Arsenic, the Madeline Smith story on Scotland's murder mysteries.
I I never knew. I had never heard that.
Do you think she did it?
Yeah. Do
I
you?
kind of do too. So
Yeah.
So she was young, she didn't know how to get out of it. He was really threatening her that he was gonna go public with this. She really wanted to marry this other guy who was of her status and
Mhm.
would have kept propelling her. So
Mhm.
it makes sense, and she purchased arsenic 3 times at 3 different chemists right before every time he got sick. So to me, it seems like it was her way out, but at the same time, he also threatened suicide to numerous other women when they rejected him or, said that or he was blackmailing them. He would be like, "Fine, and I'll kill myself instead if I can't have you." And so, I don't know if this was just like a last ditch effort of that, and he did it. He was also they said he was known for taking arsenic. People would sometimes take it as an aphrodisiac, so someone suggested that maybe he had OD'd on it, but 40 times the amount, I don't think so. This was a poisoning, in my opinion.
I would agree with you.
In hot chocolate, too. So sweet, so deadly.
So the last sip.
Honestly, that's why I was like, she was the last one that he managed to try
Mhm.
to bamboozle. But they, like, kind of painted him as, like, a pretty skeezy character in all of his character witnesses. But there are also some people that think that maybe because he was a foreigner that they were doing that deliberately.
Mm.
So, I don't know, but I still think she did it, and that was her way out, and, from all accounts, it sounds like once she left Scotland, she still lived a pretty nice life for the rest of her days, and she got remarried and went on about her world. So, I don't know, back then there wasn't a lot of options, right? And the rumors were out there. I mean, her letters are pretty explicit when she talks about the things that they did. She talks
Mhm.
about naked bodies and stuff, and that was very, very scandalous. So, I don't know. I don't know. I do think she's guilty.
I do too.
But the
I
verdict
really
of
do.
not proven is not one I've ever heard of.
Yeah, that I mean, maybe it was something of the times.
Yeah, it's definitely a Scotland thing, but, that verdict of not proven basically was saying that she was guilty, and that's how the public perceived it too.
Mhm.
So, she had to get her butt out of Scotland ASAP, and her parents spent a fortune on her defense, and they had a lot of money.
Yes.
There's a damn near castle that they owned that's actually pretty beautiful that I saw in the documentary. But anyway, that was my case this week. We both leaned heavily on forensics. And by them using those techniques, the Marsh and the Reinsch tests, those were very, very, very new to being used. So it was kind of like a big benchmark court case because they were able to prove that arsenic was in his stomach. So big deal on that. Not
And
quite
they
as
have the bottle still.
Oh my god, it's so they have the bottle, they have her handwritten letters, they have a ton of stuff in there, but her letters are, like, frenzied, the way that she wrote them. Sometimes she would write them, like, one way, and then she would turn it sideways and write over her writings. They were just like
Why?
I don't know, but they look wild. But she would send letter after letter after letter to get to him, and then they had the penny post, which meant that they picked up letters often, so they would write each other several letters a day
Wow.
and
Kinda
not
like
get caught.
emails.
Kind of like emails, and then at night so for a while, they would, like, meet in the garden or meet in different places, and then later on, they would meet at night. He would, like, come to her window, she would give him hot chocolate, and they would talk, and then it turned to a very intimate relationship with them trying to find places to meet at. Sometimes if her parents were away in the daytime, he would come to her house and bang one out or whatever. So romantic.
Okay. Bang one out.
As one does.
As one does.
Love. So, it was very obvious though that they had an intimate relationship, which was extremely scandalous, especially for a girl of her standing. Like, it was pretty crazy that she, like, broke out of her shell to do that. She also wrote poetry and all these things that were very scandalous.
Well, and killed someone, so just
Yeah. And then poisoned a guy.
allegedly killed somebody.
Allegedly. It's just a little arsenic for
Man.
my face. It's
Yeah.
fine.
For my face
Mhm.
and my hot cocoa.
I follow a lot of beauty historians, so I find the use of arsenic and lead very interesting in makeup, which a lot of them had it. But it turns
See, that's
out
why people went nutso.
yeah, because of lead poisoning.
Yeah.
But the lead poisoning wasn't quite as crazy as they acted. Do you remember they'd show, like, especially Queen Elizabeth or is it Queen Victoria? Sorry, UK listeners, but I think it's Queen Elizabeth with the white face. She had, like, scarring on her face, so she would put, makeup on, and they always showed her with a white face, and they said that she had lead poisoning, but that wasn't actually true, and
Oh.
the lead poisoning that they would put in for makeup, actually, it was like a highlighter. It just gave you, like, a sheen on your face and brightened your skin a little bit, but it wasn't like this cakey white makeup that they always try to portray, like almost clown makeup. It was never really like that. It just kind of added a little brightness to your skin. Obviously, it would poison you if it got into your deep into your skin. So it was over like extended use that would happen. It wasn't quite as deadly as they acted in previous times. But
Mm.
I love makeup historians. Erin Parsons is one of my favorites. I watch her videos all the time, and she did a big thing on YouTube, an episode about the lead poisoning. That's why I happen to know about that. But the arsenic, I can't imagine being like, yeah, no, I'm going to use a little for rat poison, some in the garden, and a bit on my face.
A bit on my face. Sounds great.
I love it. I've never looked any more glowy. Anywho, on that note, we will be back next week with another episode coming out on Monday. And it will be both of us, hopefully. And do follow us on our social media at Murder Not Murdering. Let us know what you think. Slide into our DMs with cases you would like us to cover, or if you have any feedback, hopefully positive. And you can also follow our TikTok, mnn.pod. We will be posting videos on there as well. Thank you so much for listening to us. So happy Autumn is back with us. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.